The Milwaukee Brewers keep churning out series after series. They've won their fourth series in a row. Are they playing on a championship level? I mean, a World Series championship level. We'll get to that coming up next here on Locked On Brewers.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, the Milwaukee Brewers just continue to go out since getting swept in that 3-game series at Philadelphia a couple of weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, to be exact. On this night, the Brewers have taken 4 straight series. They climbed 14 games over the 500 mark at 44-30. They're playing well. They're winning games, but are they playing on a team? When you look at this team, do you feel, man, this team is up there with the Dodgers and the Phillies and the Yankees among the great teams in baseball? We'll get to that coming up next here on Locked On Brewers. Chuck Friedman, your host here on Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Today's episode of Locked On Brewers brought to you by Tax Network USA. Did you know it's never too late to resolve your tax issues with the IRS? Don't wait. Reduce your tax debt and get the help from the team of licensed professionals. Call 1-800-549-1000. Visit tnusa.com/locked-on. Brewers did win the game 2-0 against the Angels. Again, their fourth straight series. Freddy Peralta was great on the hill again. 6 innings, 3 hits. Brian Hudson came in and did his work, as he always does. And then McGill finished up in the 9th inning. And against a team like the Angels, I've said this against every team they've played, at least on the road, go in and try to take 2 or 3. You don't want to get swept. If the opponent, like an Angels, would take a 2 or 3, take 2 or 3 from you, you don't panic, you don't fret, you just move on to the next series. And, there's never been any panic with the Brewers at any time this year. I don't think we've been at Panicsville at all. Even when the Yankees came into AmFam Field several weeks ago and put up 15 runs on a Saturday and a Sunday, we didn't, they bounced right back, and the Brewers continued the train, and they continue to have a wide lead in the division, in the NL Central. So my question is, are the Brewers in that same category as the Phillies, the Dodgers, the Yankees? I don't think they're quite on that championship level just yet. Yes, they got the record. I mean, they're not going to catch the Phillies for the best record of the National League. The Phillies are like 6 games ahead of them. That's not happening. They're right there with the Dodgers. I would love to see the Brewers avoid that wild card game by all means. But the Brewers, I would think, needs a few upgrades to get to that championship level. Sure, their record indicates it. They're well ahead in the division. They're 14 games over the 500 mark. But do I look at this Brewers team like I do like the 2018 team, the 2011 team? I even thought the 2008 team with CeCe, I even thought that had a championship flavor type team, and they should have gone better further than the wild card that year. But I don't look at this Brewer team maybe even being one of the top 10 teams in Brewers history right now. I don't. I don't see that at all with these guys right now. But I think with a couple of upgrades. Now, that's not saying they can't win a World Series championship. But when you look at a team, when you look at a team that has that World Series type flavor type team, you look at them and say, well, that team has got the it factor. You look at the Yankees, you see, man, they got it. Baltimore, you could even look with them and see, especially with Burns, that. The Dodgers, of course, even though the Dodgers, I think, should be playing better than they are. They've gone through some injuries and all that. They're lurking, 15 games over the 500 mark and lurking, but I think a lot of people thought the Dodgers were going to run away with the division. And of course, the Phillies are great, and they've been championship contender the last 2 years. The Brewers are maybe that next notch below those teams. The Brewers are definitely one of the best teams in baseball. Okay. Now, Freddy Peralta is pitching like an ace, and I know some of you guys are down on him. But this is the reason why I don't think the Brewers are on a championship level right now. Number one, something we talked about earlier in the week, they don't score enough with runners in scoring position. I mean, tonight they win 2-0, but man, they just live on the edge so many times. And this goes back to last year where, this season could end in a heartbeat. If they get in a wild card playoffs, it could end in a heartbeat like it did last year. You work 6 months for that to get into the playoffs, and then you're out in 27 hours to the Arizona Diamondbacks. It could happen, but then again, they could be the team that catches fire in October. Remember, like we always say, we've found this from past examples. It's not necessarily how you play in June or July and August and September. It's what you're doing in October. And Arizona got hot at just the right time, as we saw. Now, the Brewers, you look at that rotation, even though some of those guys in that rotation are pitching on a championship level, all right? I mean, I love Tobias Myers. Colin Ray's given him a ton. And Freddie has pitched like a number one. I would say this team, I would feel better about this team winning a championship if they had Corbin Burnes and a healthy Brandon Woodruff at the top of the rotation. You add those two to the top of the rotation, and I think, you got something there. I feel like they're a couple of hitters away from a championship level. I'm a little concerned about the right field spot right now. They have 4 outfielders right now. Other than Yelich, Perkins, Frelick, Mitchell, when he's healthy, and Churio, who's starting to produce, get some much better at bats for Churio as of late. Thought one tonight, he thought maybe was going to go over the fence, drove the guy to deep right center field with a man at first. But you have, other than Yelly's your left fielder, Perkins, Frelick, Mitchell, and Churio. Doesn't sound like championship flavor just yet. Okay. Now you need Frelick to kick it up, as I've mentioned. Perkins, great defense. I don't see him as a championship level, a guy on the championship level who you can count on. Mitchell still an unknown, and Churio maybe too young at this point. So a couple of those outfield spots. Yelly, I look at him. He's been there, done that. MVP. Yelly, I'm good with in left field. But I think some of those other guys are still on an unproven level to me to take this team to a championship level. Now, a lot will determine here in the next couple of months on some of these guys. I think Frelick has got to raise his game. Perkins, if he's able to, has got to raise his game. I'm thinking Frelick can raise his game. He's a lot of potential. High draft pick. Yes. Perkins, we'll see. Churio, whatever I got on Churio here, this rookie year, good enough for me. And I'm so far, I'm satisfied with we're getting out of the guy, because I know 20-year-old hitter in there. I know it's there's a learning curve there. And with Garrett Mitchell, when he's healthy, he's great. Well, I wouldn't say great. Great, I mean all-star. When he's healthy, he's good. I just don't know if yet he's of that championship level. So I think the outfield kind of hurts them. And that all leads back to getting clutch hits, guys with runners in scoring position. The Brewers last year did this. They lived too much on the edge. Get to the 6th or 7th inning. And you all know that as Brewer fans. And I'm not dumping on the Brewers whatsoever. I'm just being real with all y'all. The Brewers last year, living on the edge, 1-0, 2-0, going into the late innings, one of those type of games. And then at the end of the night, it was 1-0 for the longest time. And then they tacked on another run. But still, I feel like the Brewers need better clutch hitting. Some guys in the outfield got to produce a little bit more. And the pitching will continue to be as good as it is, the starting pitching. Like I said, I'd feel better with Burnes and Woodruff on the top of that rotation. Obviously, you wouldn't have Ortiz. But if you're asking me if I'd to win a World Series right now, I would take Burnes over Ortiz. For this year, if I had to win, if I'm all in on this year, of course you would. Long term, of course you'd want Ortiz. But for this season and the way the season Burnes is having with Baltimore, I would take Burnes over Ortiz just for this season alone. Don't be going down that road with that long-term stuff. I get that. But I'm saying for this year, to win me a championship this year, I would take Burnes over Ortiz. So with that said, I think the Brewers are just below, but that doesn't mean it can't happen. We got several months to get better. Okay, they're 14 games over, some of these guys on the outfield, the runners in scoring position, and we'll see what they add on this team. And if those additions can help create some good things for this lineup, we'll see what they have up their sleeve. Will they trade one of those guys? Would they trade one of those outfielders? We'll get to that coming up here in a little bit. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Locked On Brewers, you get us 7 days a week here on the Locked On Podcast Network. All right. Our show is brought to you in part by the Tax Network. They are there for you. Tax Network USA. It's collection season, and just because tax season is over doesn't mean the IRS isn't going to stop coming at you. They just come at you and at you and at you after you for those unfiled taxes. They want your money. The IRS can garnish your wages, levy your bank accounts, even seize your property. But don't let the IRS come after you. Don't let them target you. Let the licensed professionals and tax experts at Tax Network USA go to bat for you. Tax Network USA. Over 14 years of experience, A+ rating by the Better Business Bureau. Tax Network USA has saved their clients over $1 billion in tax debt. Whether you owe taxes, have complicated matters that require tax planning, or finally hit that parlay during the baseball season here, and you need that help correct to how to file that, your big winnings. Let's say you won a couple of G's at the casino. You need help figuring a way to get that money to you. And, so you're not avoiding the IRS, call 1-800-549-1000, because they always give you that 1099 slip. I don't know. I've never won that much money, so I wouldn't know. But I've seen people who have at the casino. TNUSA.com/lockedon. TNUSA.com/lockedon. See the link right here and in this episode description below, and they'll tell you exactly how they can help you at Tax Network USA. Also, you need life insurance. I was telling you, my kid, I told him, I said, you better get life insurance from this job. So let's check out what the benefits are. Life insurance, you got to tell some of these young guys, give them some directions out of college and all that. And, if you're a parent or a caregiver, would life insurance take care of your loved ones? Would they? Is your life insurance from your work, is that covering everything, or do you need more? Policygenius is there for you. They are there to help you out. Get peace of mind by finding the right life insurance with Policygenius. Policygenius.com, or click on that link right below here if you're watching me on YouTube. Get your free life insurance quotes. See how much you could save with Policygenius.com. Right now, you can find life insurance policies that start at just $292 per year for $1 million of coverage. Some options, 100% online, let you avoid those unnecessary medical exams that we all hate. So go to their agents, award-winning agents. Let them help you. Policygenius.com. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers. Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Good to have you along as the Brewers sail into a series with San Diego coming up on Thursday night. 4-game set with the Padres. 8:40, the broadcast on SiriusXM, the SXM app. Search Brewers, and that'll give you all 162 of Brewers baseball on Sirius and the SiriusXM app. Believe me, it's not only great for baseball, it's great for all sports. SiriusXM, yours truly, a firm believer of that. And hey, man, like I said, nothing like coming out of AmFam Field late at night, 8:30, or I should say 10:30 at night, and you got a West Coast game as you're driving through a Wisconsin night. It's a beautiful thing. All right, this crowded outfield spot for the Milwaukee Brewers. Perkins, Frelick, Mitchell, Chourio, and then, of course, Yelich. Yelich untradeable, Chourio untradeable, Perkins, Frelick, Mitchell. And some of you would say Frelick is untradeable at this point, but if you could get a really big piece, and I'd love to hear from you on this, if you could get a huge piece. Now, there's different levels of pieces the Brewers will be going after. Obviously, there's the A-listers, the B-listers, and the Brewers are usually settling for the C-listers. No disrespect to any of those guys, but the Carlos Santanas of the world, who the Brewers got last year, nice pickup, but that's what the Brewers settle for, Okay, that's what they settle for. But I thought Mike Moustakas a couple of years, that was an A-lister. They went out and got him. Obviously, years ago, CC, that was an A-lister. You'd have to give up like Frelick, if, among other things, if you wanted an A-lister, if you went for it this year. I'd be really hesitant to give up on Sal. Made another great catch up against the wall on Taylor Ward on Wednesday night. I'd be really hesitant. But for those of you who are saying, yeah, the Brewers need a big piece out there, you're not giving up Jake Mazeroski, who won another game, helped pitch Biloxi to a shutout on Wednesday night. You're not giving up him. Teams might be asking for Sal Frelick. And would you go down that route? I threw that out there last year. I kind of threw it out there a little bit, and I got some heat for it. But after a year I settled in on that, would you go after an A-lister? Somebody's rental, or maybe for a couple of years experience? I'll tell you what, I like that Tyler Anderson, who I saw last night. I talked a little bit about him last night. You know, the way he changes his motions, his speeds and all that. I like him. Guy's won 6 games on a crappy baseball team. I'd love to see that left-hander with the Milwaukee Brewers. Seemed like he had things going here, keeping the Brewers off balance. I believe it's $13 million a year for the next 3 years. So that's an affordable deal. Man, getting a guy like that, have to think about it. I think that guy's got some real good upside to him. The best is yet to come for Tyler Anderson. I might think about it with Sal Frelick to get a guy like Tyler Anderson. He's going to be dealt by the Angels. All right. There's going to be people coming in and giving some good prospects up for Anderson. Now, if you're the Brewers, would you do that? Because he's the kind of Brewer you'd like to have under control for 3 years at a nice price, just like the Brewers signing Rhys Hoskins for, $12, $14 million. Nice price, fits into the category, right? Once the guy makes $20 million, well, you're not going to sign him like a Willie Damas. So, but I would have to think about that. Tyler Anderson. I was watching him pitch tonight, paid special attention to him. There's a lot to like about that guy. A lot to love. He pitched great against the Brewers tonight. So, but sit on that. I'd like to hear your comments. Comment below. Here on my YouTube page. YouTube, search YouTube, Locked On Brewers. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, and please comment above or comment below. Also hit me up on Twitter, Chuck Freeman, FREIMUND. Would you be willing to move Frelick? Can I read your comments every day? We'll pick up some interesting ones tomorrow here on the show. Hernandez out off the roster. I told you this last night on the broadcast or the podcast that dropped this morning. I said, you know what? Hernandez has just been bad with the Brewers. I could see them DFAing him, and I think I even joked. I said they might even do it tomorrow, and certainly they have. Hernandez just bad. Got rid of him. Seen enough of him. Just not good in his outings with the Brewers. So Hernandez DFA'd. Who knows? He might come back with and sign, and choose the minor league option on that deal. But DFA'd him. That was the way to go. Junis apparently is on his way back. We'll see where he fits into the equation, and a few other guys, as we know. There was a little update that Sophia gave on the broadcast tonight about certain guys on the men. Robert Gasser, man, it sounds like he's possibly heading for surgery, but obviously he's not coming back next year. But in the immediate future, Junis is coming back, and we'll see where he fits in. Didn't exactly wow me when I saw him, the little I've seen of him in the spring. I'll just say that. Tyler Black, welcome back to the roster, along with Bradley Blaylock. They brought 2 up to the parent team, and we'll see where Tyler Black goes from here on in. Coming up tomorrow on the show, Tim Dillard made a great point tonight on the broadcast. Why can't middle relievers be in the All-Star game? Why the heck can't they? One of the Brewers' best pitchers, one of the huge keys to their success is Hudson. Brian Hudson out of the bullpen was great again on Wednesday night. We'll talk more about that on the show tomorrow. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Stitch Fix is a way to go to get clothes for your work, for my job. My job, I do some TV stuff as well. I got to look good looking on TV. You got to look going out covering games and all that. You got to look good. And, you want that instant confidence boost. You get that from an outfit that makes you look really good. And with Stitch Fix, they help you out. Upgrade your wardrobe this year with the professional stylists at Stitch Fix. On-trend favorites. You give the stylist your size, your style, your budget preferences. You order the boxes. I get them, and I tell them what I want. No subscription required at all. And they send me 5 pieces designed for me, outfit recommendations, pro styling advice, and I keep what works, and I send the rest back. And there's no complaining on their end. I just send the rest back. Style makes you feel and look good. You look good, you feel good. And right now is the best time to get started at stitchfix.com/MLB. You get $100 off. That's $25 off your first 4 fixes for a limited time only. stitchfix.com/MLB, $20, I should say $100 off. stitchfix.com/MLB. Must redeem within 7 days of sign up. Offer does not include kids fixes. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. All right, the Brewers now go to San Diego, and you look at the lead the Brewers have in the division right now. There were some games. How about the Dodgers, by the way, having some problems with Colorado? Got beat by Colorado. Should have beat them last night. Got screwed by the umpires. The Brewers, as of right now, 7.5 games lead on the St. Louis Cardinals, who dropped a couple in a row. Pittsburgh at 8 games out. Cubs 8.5 out, despite winning the last 2 games. They beat San Francisco on Wednesday afternoon. Cincinnati at 9 out. Cincinnati 35-39. I keep thinking the Reds are going to make a charge, but man, 9 games out, certainly not insurmountable. And certainly a 7.5 game lead on St. Louis is not insurmountable. We got a long way to go in this division, a long, long way to go. But ideally, it'd be great to see the Brewers get that 2 seed in the National League. I don't know if it's too early to talk about it. I look at the standings every day. When I wake up, I just look at the standings, and I look at the standings and I see the Milwaukee Brewers, and I just glow for a second that they're 6.5, 7.5, 8.5 games out up at first place. Because let's face it, most of our lives we're looking up at other teams in the division. So it's just great. So I look at it, gets my day off to a good start, looking at the division and seeing the Brewers with a healthy lead, but not taking it for granted. Still a lot of work to do. But I would love for them to get the second best record in the National League. Remember, the top 2 teams in each league avoid that wild card, that best of 3 first round series, which the Brewers lost in because they were the 3 seed last year. Arizona came here and took 2 games, and the whole season was gone in 27 hours. We don't need that again. I would love to see the Brewers at least get to a longer series and get into that second seed. Now, can they catch the Dodgers? They're 2-3 games behind them. I think they're even with them in the loss column, as I rechecked. And let me just double check here once I got the standings up. Yeah, the Brewers are even with the Dodgers in the loss column, and the Dodgers have won 2 more games. Dodgers got 46 games, Milwaukee 44. So the Dodgers have played 2 more games. It's probably, they're 6 behind Philadelphia. I don't see them catching Philadelphia, but certainly the Dodgers might be capable. Unless the Dodgers, I keep waiting for them just to turn it on. But it would be great to get that number 2 seed of the National League and avoid that stupid 2-game series that the Brewers lost to last year. All right, San Diego coming up next. Brewers in there for a 4-game series. Brewers went in there and swept the weekend series last year. Remember? That helped get them off to a great start. They got that weekend series in San Diego last year. Manny Machado for the Padres. We'll see him and his laziness grounding out, hitting balls to the third baseman and second baseman and shortstop, and jogging about halfway down and turning around and coming back. Much what we saw of Vladdy a couple of weeks ago with Toronto. So Machado will be doing more of that. Padres are a couple of games under the 500 mark. They're right there in the wild card hunt as well. The pitchers for the Brewers this weekend: Wilson, Ray, Rodriguez, and Myers. Wilson Tuesday, Ray Friday, Rodriguez Saturday, Myers Sunday. Brewers would see Dylan Cease coming up on Friday night. You would see them in more late night games Thursday and Friday, Saturday, early evening start, I believe. And then, of course, on Sunday afternoon, mid-afternoon start there. But some more late night. Hope you all been hanging in there. Appreciate you listening to my broadcast every day and watching this. I know you appreciate the recaps. The Brewers behind Freddy Peralta with McGill saving his 15th game of the year, 2-0 over the Angels, taking another series after dropping the opener, winning 2 of 3 and improving that record to 44-30. It's going to do it for me. We'll see you tomorrow night after the opener against the Padres. My name is Chuck Freeman. Thank you all you everydayers for following along. Go to YouTube, search Locked On Brewers, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, and of course our audio platforms. Go to Google, Spotify, Apple, we're on all those major platforms, and hit me up, Chuck Freeman, FREIMUND on Twitter. See you tomorrow night, everybody, on Locked On Brewers.